Maps are lying to you. Let's check out the real size of countries. All right, here we are on truesizeof.com. This should be fun. I played with this before, but I think this is something that you guys would think is very interesting, the true size of countries. So let's start with the USA. USA, I guess US? Yeah, US. All right, let's back out a little bit. And the US is kind of far from the equator. Look at, the closer you get to the equator, the smaller everything is. Or if there's a country on the equator like DRC here, Democratic Republic of the Congo, it'll be a lot bigger. All right, let's move US over like Russia. Yeah, see, Russia looks massive, but it's not as big as you think. Let's take a look at Russia, actually. Let's put Russia on the equator. I'll show you guys. Look at that. I mean, it's smaller than Africa, although Africa is a continent. It's many, many countries, but Russia is really not as big as you think. I mean, it's pretty big still, you know, it's massive, but it's really not as big as you think. Greenland, watch Greenland. Greenland's way up here, massive looking, but it's so far from the equator. Watch when I put it on the equator. Look at that. Look at the difference. It's the size of DRC. It's crazy. Look how big it is on a map. Like I said, maps are lying to you guys. Put in the comments if you guys didn't know this. It's a big difference. Let's try some other stuff. Italy. Let's do Italy. Italy closer to the equator. Let's zoom in a little bit. Yeah, look how tiny Italy is compared to some of these other countries. Like Gabon, I mean, if you filled Gabon with Italy, it would be about the same size. Let's do Texas. How about we do Texas? Big old Texas on a map. Let's put Texas over some of the European countries. Yeah, Texas is bigger than France, and France is one of the larger countries over there. Look at that. It's way bigger than Germany, bigger than Poland, bigger than Ukraine. Way bigger than the UK. Let's check out the UK. All right, UK, quite a distance from the equator, right? Quite a distance. Let's check it out. Look at this. Look at this. Let's just keep going. Look at this. Look how small the UK is to some of these countries in Africa. Ooh, you know what? Let's do Australia. All right, Australia's a good distance. Well, no, it's actually pretty close to the equator. Yeah, Australia's pretty big. Australia's almost as big as the US. Look at that. Australia's pretty big. Look at Russia compared to Australia. Australia doesn't look that small compared to some other these countries. I mean, it's about the same size as China. Actually, I don't know if China or Australia have a larger area. Let's see, 7.6 million kilometers. China is 9.5. Yeah, China's much bigger. Wow. Okay. Doesn't look that much bigger, to be honest. I mean, once you fill in some of these extra spots. I guess it kind of is. What about Florida? Florida's my home state. Florida's where I reside. Let's put Florida over some of these countries here in Europe. Yeah, Florida is almost the size of Italy. I mean, it's about as long as Spain and wide as Spain, just not as fat as Spain. Spain's a fat boy. Ooh, you know what? Let's look at Greece. And next I'll take a look at some of the Scandinavian countries. Let's put Greece further away. Let's put Greece over here near like Norway and stuff. Yeah, see, Greece isn't that tiny when it comes to these Scandinavian countries. All right, let me clear this and grab like Sweden or something. Let's grab Sweden. Swing Sweden down here. Look at Sweden, little tiny Sweden. Let me put Sweden over near Florida. Yeah, it's not that big of a difference. But man, look at that. Look at that. I mean, you would think it's so much bigger, right? Look at the difference of the size because it's so far from the equator. And I forgot what that map is called, the globe map, but yeah, it's so like the Mercator map. I don't know. Correct me in the comments. I know I'm wrong. But crazy, right? Let's look at Japan. Alright, let's drag Japan over to some of the... Actually, just the UK. Wow, Japan's long. Look at that. From Gibraltar all the way up to Sweden. I mean, Japan extends way out here. Let's put Japan in the US. Man, Japan is crazy. Japan's the whole East Coast. Wow, Japan's long. Ooh, which reminds me, let's look at Chile, since Chile's kind of long too. Look how long Chile is. Chile's crazy. Let's get Japan off the map. Can I do that? No, I'd have to just clear it and grab Chile again. Alright, that's fine. Look at Chile. Look how long Chile is. Let's get Chile closer to the equator. Still quite long. Yeah, look at that. From Ecuador all the way to South Carolina. That is insane. Alright, if we put Chile at the tip of Florida, it goes all the way to the northwestern passages. That is insane. Chile's massive. Lengthwise. Area-wise, it's not even that big. 756,000 kilometers, not even a million. But look at that. Look how it's just long. It's so long. And to be honest, it's not that thin. I mean, Georgia's pretty thick, you know, as a state. Georgia's a pretty thick state. But that's crazy. All right, Alaska. Alright, Alaska's a distance from the equator. Yeah, see, Alaska isn't as big as they make it seem to be. It's only like double Texas, which I guess that's big. Texas is pretty massive. Let's bring it over to like DRC. Yeah, it's smaller than DRC. Yeah, the Democratic Republic of the Congo is right on the equator. You know what? Let me grab that. DRC. Alright. Democratic Republic of the Congo. Alright, bring it. Look at that. Look how big DRC is. I mean, it's almost all of the Scandinavian countries minus Denmark here, but Denmark would easily fit in the extra space here. Yeah, see, it's the size of Greenland. When you put it over ways away from the equator, it's massive. Alright guys, let me know if you think that's pretty cool, and if you love geography, subscribe. See ya!